Welcome back to the Friday the 13th Slasher Sunday. It's been a little while.
Yeah.
I apologize. We got to see this in theaters
We
on
did.
Friday the 13th in October.
Yeah.
And it was exciting because it was like, oh, we're going to get to see this in theaters. What was not so exciting is that I couldn't bring in a notebook to take the notes that I needed to take. And with this movie, I didn't want to wing it.
Yeah.
This is my favorite, Friday the 13th, and one of my favorite slashers of all time. I've always considered this to be my favorite slasher of all time, even though Halloween is a slasher and it's my favorite movie, so that seems like a contradiction. But this is much more of an actual slasher to me. Like,
Yeah.
Halloween is a slasher technically, but this is a slasher in every way, right?
Hmm.
This is what really hits hard with all of everything. It's got the silly, goofy, memorable characters and moments. It's got the really graphic, awesome, memorable kills. It's got hot naked babes like crazy. This has the most nudity in the franchise
Yeah.
easily. And it's got the hottest girl in the franchise. It's got my favorite characters in the franchise. It's got my favorite lines in the franchise, right? So, like, this thing is a slasher through and through, period. So, for being a slasher, first and foremost, this is my favorite slasher,
Hmm.
even though Halloween is a slasher and it's my favorite
That's fair.
movie.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So, Friday the 13th, where are you on this with like your favorite?
I don't know. Honestly, I think I was saying
Jason Goes to Hell, right?
no, A New Beginning.
Okay.
I really like.
Okay.
This one's fun though. I mean, all of them are so entertaining, in like their own way.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. It's hard. I like the franchise like as a whole, obviously, but I'll say New Beginning.
I mean, I definitely like it. I like it as a whole, but I don't like the whole of it.
Mm.
Right? I definitely do not like Jason Goes to Hell.
I'm really curious on our rewatch of that because I'm gonna try and look at it with like a new lens. I want to like it.
I've tried many times. I've
Well,
seen the movie 10 times probably,
yeah,
and I come away from it feeling the exact same way every single time.
we'll see how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't really care for the remake much.
I
And
like the
that's one I
remake a
really
lot.
want to like, but
Yeah.
we'll see. That could change. We'll see. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. Now, question.
Yeah.
Something I had pondered. I had to rewatch this movie to take notes.
Yes. He
Not a
did.
terrible thing, right? It's Friday 4. I can watch it. I've seen it a million times. But so as far as the fake out endings go of
Mm.
part 1, 2, and 3,
Mm-hmm.
right? We've got 3 different dream sequence fake out endings.
Yeah.
Do we think, because I was thinking about it with this one when this one started and we saw Jason was still laying there in the barn and he was still in the same place as where Chris left him after she put the axe in his head, and it was like everything from there is a dream,
Mm-hmm.
right? Same thing with, you know, same thing with the other 2 girls in the previous 2 movies. They both have their Jenny
Mm-hmm.
and Alice have their dream sequences that Jason comes up, uh, both of them actually. And so I was thinking about that, and I was like, is it possible that this is a supernatural element to
Mm.
the franchise? That there's actually like that there is some kind of projection or something going on where that area is cursed,
Mm.
and anyone who like survives, it's like it's being forced into their head to drive them mad or something, or
Mm.
like I don't know. I haven't really put a ton of thought into this yet on like an explanation for what it is,
Mm-hmm.
but the fact that 3 girls in a row who face this end up having almost like exactly the same kind of nightmare.
Yeah.
Where someone like pops up behind them, right?
I mean,
and grabs them. I get that they just went through a traumatic experience and they're going to be living that kind of traumatic experience the rest of their life, and you know, getting grabbed from behind is of course like one of the main fears. But the way that Jason pops out of the water in 1, the way that, you know, Pamela pops out of the water in part 3, and she's also wearing the outfit that Chris would not know she had.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like, I don't know, there's something to that where I'm like, is this, now of course it's just silly filmmaking to add an extra jump scare. I get that. But if we're going to have fun with it, right? And we're just going to be the goofs that we are. Is it possible that there's something supernatural going on in here, that the dreams are being like forced onto them?
So I mean, I do think that those like fake outs are mostly just kind of like a cliche.
They are.
As far as
they
like
are.
the writing goes.
Of course.
So definitely like we're just, you know, projecting onto like what we want, but that's fine. I like that idea. But I also thought that like, so Camp Crystal Lake, like aren't they kind of like in a general area? They're not always at the same place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Is it what?
Are they always at the same camp? Or because
they're not at the same camp, but they're around the same lake.
They're around the same lake. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that could still work then, if like the lake itself and that like surrounding area has some type of curse on it.
If we want to connect it to the franchise, we could even go as far as to say that this is Freddy. Right?
Yeah.
Because Freddy is able to get into Jason's dreams.
So
and he's aware of him.
Freddy's just messing with all of Jason's final girls.
I mean, it would be cool. That would have been a cool tie-in.
Yeah.
In Freddy versus Jason, like, you know, I drove your victims mad.
Like, who do you think was giving him those?
Yeah, right?
Like, I didn't even know.
That would have been a cool tie-in for me.
Yeah.
Is that Freddy was responsible for all their nightmares at the end of the movies. That would have been a cool tie-in at Freddy versus Jason.
Where does Freddy versus Jason take place again? Like what area?
Well, it takes place in Springfield.
Oh,
or okay. Springwood.
Yeah.
I always say that.
It's in Simpsons. Springwood. So Jason comes to Springwood.
So he goes to Jason in his dreams. He's like hibernating in Crystal Lake. And then he poses as his mom to wake him up and say the kids are being bad in Springwood.
Right. I remember all
and, that. You know, he comes there to kill. But it is, you know, okay, moving on. I just...
It's an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Once again, we've got a 3-minute recap and 2 minutes of credits. So we got 5 minutes before we're even to the film.
Yeah.
Which is a long time.
It's a long time.
It's a long, long time. And this whole like episodic, previously on TV series style opening for these, I'm not about it. I don't like it.
No.
It's just on rewatch. I think it's filler. You just skip.
Obviously, right? It's like the Fridays were becoming so popular that it's like they wanted people to be able to walk in without having seen any of the previous ones and kind of understand the film. But
do you really feel like if you walked into Friday 4, having not seen any of the others, that you would be confused in any way, shape, or form during this movie? Is there any complex plot line going on?
No, there's not. I was trying to think about like the ending though, and
no.
But I don't think there would be anything super confusing.
There's nothing that they're really showing you in the opening that's like necessary for the plot.
You're right.
It's like Jason's the killer.
Yeah.
He kills kids. Like there's nothing to learn. There's no dramatic reveals. There's no plot lines that are like dense with all sorts of, you know, lore. Yeah. There's nothing there.
Right.
So it's pretty much pointless. To me it's just filler. It's to pad that runtime to get it to 1 hour and 30.
I think you're right. But I also think that it was kind of a way to try and. I know it's not really catching people up. I don't
Yeah.
know, but I think people sometimes maybe it's a like a psychological trick to be like, now you'll understand it even more.
Yeah. So in the first movie, the Friday the 13th title blows up. In this one, it's Jason's mask that blows up. A lot of explosions for a franchise that doesn't have any explosions in it.
I know.
And it's pretty funny.
Yeah,
it feels like a Rambo movie.
Yeah. I don't know why it's so actiony.
Because a lot of people will be like, "Oh, Joseph Zito, who directed this one, like he's done action stuff, so that's why it's explosions." And it's like, well, what about Sean S. Cunningham's first movie where the title blows up?
Just right? Dramatic.
It's just funny to me. Yeah. Explosions in these kinds of movies.
Funny. There's literally none.
No.
Except
well
maybe
with Jason Goes to Hell, he gets shot with like a rocket launcher. And there's explosions in space and in Jason X.
I was gonna say, in those two.
But those way later movies. Yeah. Okay. So, getting into the very opening of the movie. So this doesn't now the continuity of this franchise is not great.
No,
as we know.
It's not.
Even though they kind of try. Mm-hmm. Like Jason's in the same position, the same barn with the axe in his head, whatever. So there is that continuity.
Yeah.
But at the end of part 3, Chris is taken away during the day. Mm-hmm. Right? It is daytime out. Chris is being taken off, and it's morning. Let's say it's morning. Chris is being taken away by the cops, right? Mm-hmm. And the cops take her in the car. She's laughing hysterically, whatever, and she drives off. And we show that that Jason's out still in the barn, and they're like gonna go cover him up.
Yeah.
Whatever, right? In this one, it starts. It is night, it's dark, pitch black, dark. Super night. We're probably at midnight, 10 o'clock at least in this.
Yeah, and Jason's
and the ambulances are just getting there.
Yeah.
And they're like, we rushed here because they're like some emergency. So the paramedics were called saying it was an emergency, and they rushed there. It's like 10 hours later.
It doesn't make any sense because like Crystal Lake is like outside, like a few hours away from town at least, but not enough where it would be.
It can't be that far. Yeah. It can't be that far because Jason does not drive, and he walks back to Crystal Lake in a very short amount of time.
He's fast. But it is though, because in the first film, like whenever I always forget her freaking name, the one that dies, the first girl that dies, she's trying to get her. Yeah, Annie. She's trying to get a ride there, and they tell her that it's like
it's a few miles, but it wouldn't take you hours to drive.
No, wasn't it like no? We talked about the distance.
It's a few miles,
but we talked about it. It was like
it's a few miles for sure. She's gonna hoof it. That's still a lot. Even 10 miles. How long does it take you to drive 10 miles?
You're right. I guess 10 miles. I guess I'm thinking about it in terms of walking instead of driving. Maybe.
So the ambulance just like walked over there?
That's what I'm. Maybe that's why
they pushed the ambulance.
Yeah, it would take her a really long time to walk.
Hours is hundreds of miles away.
You're right. It's probably not hours. It's probably like tops
20 minutes. 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's obviously continuity issue. I'm not trying to. I guess I shouldn't try and defend it.
No, there is no defending it. So one of your favorite things happens here, and this is the gag that morticians love to eat around dead bodies.
I don't understand.
This is like in everything we watch.
Literally every single movie now. I feel like we've noticed it. Every show.
So
there's a mortician and they're eating over a dead body to be like so nonchalant.
Yeah, it's supposed to show that death is like super normal to them.
Right.
And how weird it is that they have this job where they see it as we would see like, copying papers or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a menial task to them. It's like death is nothing to them.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like,
right.
But it's the fact that it's always eating, and I think it's because we associate like a dead body with something that you would not want to eat around.
Which, I mean, I guess that does make sense.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to eat like off of a dead body.
Oh, it's
But I
definitely
guess, but
against
you
code.
wouldn't want to eat around it also because like you would not have an appetite around a dead
That's the
body
point.
mostly.
Right.
I'm sorry, I was kind of thinking of like cleanliness too.
No, it's supposed to be
Um,
they're not supposed to have an appetite because if you're around like a mutilated dead body like
right.
they're
That
bringing
you,
him.
yeah. So it is supposed to be like, oh, they're so desensitized to it,
Yeah.
but it's, gosh, it's like every single time. That's the go-to.
It
It's
is.
fine. I mean, it's shorthand, right? Just to like convey that, but
Yeah.
it always ends up being kind of comedic.
At this point.
Yeah, maybe the first time it was like, oh,
Whoa, why is he
he
eating?
doesn't care at all.
No, I mean Axel really doesn't care because he straight up makes a necrophiliac joke
Yeah, that's
to a woman who's super uncomfortable.
I,
Because Axel's basically is a stand-in for Bud from
mm-hmm.
Halloween 2. He gives me that vibe where he's
Yeah,
just like there to score with the nurses,
yeah.
doesn't really care, says really like crass things in front of employees,
Mm-hmm.
right? What I'm curious on, so there's a couple things I'm wondering here. So the kills that happen throughout 2, 3, and 4 all happen in a very short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
But we would be dealing with the bodies from 3 primarily. But the bodies from 2 should still be there as well.
Mm.
So when they're wheeling the bodies in, and Axel is being asked about this girl, and he's like, she was a pretty girl. You know, the guy, I think he says that, and she's like, well, she still is. All you had to do is go over there, take off your pants, whatever. I'm super
Awful.
curious on who he's referring to.
Mm.
What girl is he like?
I would become a
Yes.
necrophiliac for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
super curious. It'd be funny if it was Sandra since she's underage. Because
Oh my
that would make
god.
him even
It
worse.
probably would be though because of her boobs.
And her brother, who's looking for him. So it'd be even ironic
Oh,
that his sister's dead
right.
body is in the morgue getting ogled
Oh my
by the
god. I
mortician.
hate that. That's awful. That's so terrible. It
Yeah.
probably was,
And then there's a
dude.
family that's grieving in
Yes.
the lobby, right? For who some of these people who
Yeah.
died. I'm also super curious on whose
Yeah.
family that's supposed to be.
Hmm.
It could be Rob's parents. They're there and he's like,
That
I'm
would
out
make
of here.
sense.
I'm gonna go find this guy's killer. Right?
Hmm.
But I feel like he would be like, I want to see the body.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Show me this body.
Yeah, I don't think it's Rob's parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I'm curious who it could be for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Kaylee's new little case.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So okay, moving on. And yeah, we all talked about that. Okay, so Axel, of course, I have to bring this up just because it's like my favorite shit ever with this. There's such good lines in this movie. I think that's like one of the main reasons I love this movie so much because the lines in this, like just from Axel and his girlfriend,
Mm.
I'm forgetting her name at the moment, but just like her calling him the Super Bowl of self abuse and him with the jumping Christmas shit and the Jesus. I love that. That those lines are so funny to me because they're they're so unique.
Mm.
They're not. They feel so ad libbed.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine that Axel's script said holy Jesus goddamn holy Jesus jumping Christmas
It,
shit. I just can't imagine that being an actual
yeah,
line written in a script.
I bet they probably were ad libbed. I I would have to imagine that they were.
So, but the Super Bowl of self abuse that was written.
That was definitely written.
But Axel, I don't know. Is Axel somebody who is like a
Comedian.
comedian?
Mm.
Because that would actually make sense to me. He comes off like someone who was a
Mm.
comedian. But I've never really looked in to his background. So
Mm.
I don't know. But What do you think about the Jason in this? Because I think this is probably my favorite Jason.
Oh, okay.
It's really got a kind of got it all for me.
Yeah. I like Jason in this. I like
Yeah,
the way he looks.
yeah.
Um,
You like that big booty Jason in Six,
yeah, that's like
even though he's a
mostly what I like because I love that when he's walking through the woods and you just are like, what's that bubble butt doing though? But he looks good. I like him in this too.
yeah.
He's your favorite in this. Okay. I mean, that makes
Uh,
sense. This is your favorite Friday,
sure.
favorite slasher. So, of
Yeah,
course, everything would be your favorite.
yeah. Um.
I mean, he's still pretty big in this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
He likes to change outfits randomly.
I love
Just
that. He
yeah.
has like new wardrobes.
He's got a wardrobe.
He finds it. He finds stuff like
Back
on
at Casa
clotheslines.
de Jason
Yeah, the one that was given to him
by
by
his father,
mhm,
Crazy Ralph,
Crazy Ralph,
Crazy Frank, Fred,
inherited.
whatever. What did I say?
Yeah, right.
The handfall gag multiple times in this movie.
Mm,
It's it's ridiculous.
yeah.
So we get it with the first EMT, right? It
Mm-hmm.
falls out, and she's like, and he's like, what? He's dead, right? And then it falls on the chick's leg as she's making out with Axel. That's what prompts the Super Bowl of self abuse. I think that is actually the only. Well, no, I guess not. But I was gonna say she might be the only girl who teases nudity and doesn't go
Mm.
through with it. I'm honestly shocked that that Joseph Zito wasn't like, oh no. In this movie, everyone gets naked. The dog's naked.
Everyone.
Everyone's naked. Mom, take it off. You don't get to keep anything on.
But she's such a mom.
She is such a mom, but I'll tell you this: when it comes to the mom in this, Miss Jarvis,
Yeah.
I was looking this time to make sure, and I couldn't find her body. I don't
Mm.
think we ever see it. Not that I'm
Hmm.
aware of.
I was not looking for that this time for sure.
Yeah.
Um.
I was looking for it because I thought maybe it was the body that was thrown through the window, but it's not it. That's Rob. So I don't think we come across it, but I don't know. I feel like I'm missing it somehow.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely the way we watched this movie was not conducive for our discussions because like you said you couldn't take notes and for me just being in like a movie theater watching it with a bunch of people, especially the crowd that we had, it was definitely hard to like watch it as critically, I guess, as I would if we were at home. Like I
Yeah.
was very distracted by the audience and their
Oh,
reactions
yeah, they were
instead of
ridiculous.
just like, getting really into the movie like I wanted to.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can watch
Yeah, you
our
can watch the vlog to get the
yeah.
reaction, but
But
anyway, I wasn't looking for her body, so I don't know, maybe it's not there, which
I don't remember seeing it. I don't
hmm.
remember seeing it. I've seen this movie a lot, and I feel like I would remember the damn body, but it's possible it's like one of the ones. It's not though. I don't remember ever seeing their mom dead.
Hmm.
So it's possible she lived. I also have to say that um, Terry. I think Terry's the one who screws um, Jimmy. I I can't remember which one it's Tina
Oh,
or Terry. I think it's Terry's the promiscuous one, and Tina's the one who is like the one who wants to leave. I
mhm.
always get them confused. I always thought for years too that those were the actual Doublemint twins, but I can't find any actual evidence on that because we always used to call them the Doublemint twins, and I'm like, are they actually the Doublemint twins? But I don't think they are. But she would not die from being thrown out that window and hitting
No.
the car.
No.
Like she could be unconscious and
Yes.
maybe like internal bleeding and whatever. She'd eventually die
Yeah.
if she didn't get medical aid. But I just don't feel like that death is strong enough for us to be like, she's dead.
I agree. I agree. That was definitely something. I think you might have leaned over and said something to me during the movie
Yeah.
at that scene because it's not enough for sure.
Yeah. I
It was
mean,
a weak death.
it would hurt.
Yes.
You would definitely be screwed up.
Oh yeah, there's
but
no doubt.
dead? No way. No way. Because
I mean, she's
Trish jumps
tiny.
out a window and hits the ground from 2 stories up.
Yeah.
And she gets right up and, walks on back over to the house. So
yeah.
Trish also makes 3 wardrobe changes in one day in this movie.
She's got a lot of clothes to go through.
There is no need for the second wardrobe change, though. I don't find a point for it.
Yeah.
She like gets dolled up, and I'm like, what? I think she was gonna go to the party, but at that point, their mom was missing, and she was like gonna go look for Rob, and somehow she changed into a different outfit that is not like, let's go out into the woods and look for a guy.
No, it's like, let's go party.
It's that maybe she's just thinking I'm being stupid. Why wouldn't she have changed? Because they go out, her and Tommy get in the car. They go out to get Tommy's haircut, which he doesn't get. The by patch cable, which I don't know if he gets, but that haircut is the same. I mean,
he gets it.
He does get a haircut, though, right?
So, yeah.
I laughed about this time because I thought about it, which I never really thought about it before. But the mom's like, "You need to get a haircut," and then he's like, I'm thinking, he's gonna get a haircut. He's gonna. I mean, he gives his mom her last wishes. Yeah. He gets that haircut. It don't look very good. Gets
that haircut she always wanted.
Our audience also found that to be the most hilarious thing ever.
Oh my god, yeah. They were cracking up.
It's pretty silly.
Poor little
But
Tommy.
you are not in on that. You think that's like something. Which I
don't think it's a funny scene. I mean, I don't know. I think it's supposed I like when you first saw the movie, what was your reaction to that scene? Did you laugh at it or were you like,
oh my god, I have no idea. I saw this when
what do you think your reaction was?
I saw this when I was like 6 or 7 years old.
You probably laughed then. Although maybe not.
I don't know.
Maybe you were freaked out by it because he looks pretty scary looking.
So obviously this is not unprecedented for the franchise. This is very, very similar to what Ginny does in part 2.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the psychological manipulation.
Yeah.
Right. This is like somehow he gets the same idea as Ginny and is like, I'm going to try to talk to him, as to where Ginny is like, I'm going to try to talk to him as his mom.
Yeah.
Right. And both cut him down.
Yeah.
So he gets betrayed by his mom and then himself as a child. So Jason's got some mental scars.
For sure, he does.
For sure. He's like, why am I killing myself?
I know, poor Jason.
He's killing me.
Oh my god.
Jason's the one who should be yelling that.
Yeah.
He should be the one who's
He's killing me.
Yeah. I'm worried that these freaking are going to go out because we haven't charged them in a little while.
We haven't.
They're probably like echoing and staticky. And
they probably suck right now.
Yeah, totally useless. Oh my god, they're the worst. But yeah, so that's definitely not unprecedented for this franchise.
No, it's
Tommy's mask collection is incredible. Of course,
God,
this
amazing.
Is just Tom Savini being being the inspiration. I mean, his name is Tommy
Savini.
Tommy Savini. So nothing really subtle there, but this is clearly just like they wanted to show off Tom Savini's mask making skills and basically turn him into, because he does say like he was called about this movie. He declined on part 2 and then he got the offer for part 4 because he did the effects on part 1 and they brought him back for 4. And the reason he came back is because he was like, I want to kill the monster I created, right? Since he created the makeup for the kid who popped out. And then the monster at the end of this is supposed to look like an aged up version of what pops out of the water.
Yeah.
And ignoring the previous 2. But you could argue, and I would argue, that, this is definitely more of the definitive version of Jason, even though we do see Jason's face in part 3 when he lifts the mask. Because part 2, that's a dream sequence for sure. And because he has long hair and all that kind of stuff, it's like, that's out. But with 3, I can't really deny that like he lifts the mask and shows his face before she puts the axe in his head. So I was hoping that would be part of the dream sequence so that I could say this is the first time we actually see him, but it's not. But I take this as the definitive look for Jason pre zombie, right? Because we see his face in every one of these.
Yeah, I do love that, honestly.
Yeah.
That he
Yeah.
gets unmasked. I mean, it's like he's gonna be Jason every time, but it's like, what's he gonna look like?
I like when in part 8 when he like is vomiting water.
Oh my God.
You're mommy. That's such a weird movie. But I like it. Um, so we get the obvious screw up in here of Betsy Palmer being dead in 1979. Which I did some math on this. I don't know if I wrote it down. I was hoping I did because I put it on Facebook. But as far as my memory serves, she is. Oh man, I wish you don't even have Facebook pulled up because I did the math for it and posted about it on Facebook. Essentially, it was something like she is only like 49 at the end of Friday 1.
Yeah.
I guess maybe she looks a little older than that, but that's not too terrible. But I was doing the math on that because it takes place in 1980. They screwed up on her tombstone because it's definitely June 13th is Friday the 13th in 1980, not 1979. Obviously, the movie was released in 80, but that to me confirms that June 13th, right, being in 1980 is in 1980. So the 79 is just a mess up, which
just a
you would think it's stuff like that that's so weird to me. Like, how does that happen on set?
I know.
Where you're like what year did she die?
Noticed?
Unless that's not Jason's mom. Unless that's, her sister or who the hell ever, just like a Voorhees. It's never confirmed that Pamela is the one. Sure. So it's possible that Mrs. Voorhees' first name is something else.
Yeah.
Right? So if we're gonna say her name is Pamela, because I don't think it ever is confirmed in this franchise that her name is Pamela outside of that headstone. But if that is Pamela, and they just messed up on the date that she died, the math works out to where because it's an 80, she does the killings in 58, which is 22 years previous to that. Then Jason drowns in 57. Jason's supposed to be about 11 when he drowns, 10, 11 years old, which would bring it all the way back to like 1948, 1947. I think it's 47, 46. Because if he's 11, it'd be 1946. And Pamela, you're going back 30 plus years at this point. So Pamela had to be a teenager, like 14, 15 years old when she had Jason. Like if you're doing the math, I think I came up with like she got pregnant at 14 and had Jason at 15.
I mean, she could have been a teenage mom.
She sure could have. Yeah. For sure.
Especially like way back. Although I guess that's not that far back.
I mean, hey, but Judith Myers is 15 years old in the opening of Halloween. Yeah. And she's getting porked. So,
teenagers have sex.
They sure do.
For sure.
They sure do. And they have kids even younger than that.
They do.
Right? It's not a good thing, but
definitely not.
I thought that was fascinating to see the the dates on the tombstone.
Yeah, the timeline. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. The computer don't lie stuff with Teddy and the dead fuck and all that stuff. Super funny. You've got Corey Feldman doing his little boy peep show, freaking out in the bed. That's always super cute, very relatable as a young boy.
So cute.
The amount of nudity in this movie is actually insane.
There's a lot.
So wonderful. A+ on this, because not only do you get the cast, right, but you get this like vintage footage of like so much nudity.
Yeah, I really love the vintage footage. I think that's so good.
Yeah. And then of course you've got Samantha, who is just a goddess of the Friday the 13th franchise. I just think she is so unbelievably unattractive. And we get her naked in this movie a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it is always, always exciting. Like, so when I rewatched this, I was doing a little bit of like fast forwarding.
And then
Like
you would pause on
but
those
like
parts.
no, anytime I got to where I knew her nude scenes were gonna be,
You're just like
I
play
pressed play
slow-mo.
and watched them, and then I would fast forward again. I'd be like, nah, we're not fast forwarding through this. Uh, can be honest. Be honest, I probably shouldn't be, but you know, it's for the channel, it's for you guys. I might lose my wife over it, but I want to be honest. The fake friend death trope of this franchise is so lame to me. Even though it is an opportunity to see Samantha naked again, it's like, dude, do we really have to do this every time?
Yeah.
Do we really have to do the fake friend death, like the fake out friend death in all of these? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's part of it now.
No,
that's part of it.
No, it's so stupid. This is my favorite one for obvious reasons, but I still don't like it. I still think it's super stupid because it's never, you don't ever, what I want is I want this scene to play out, but them to actually be dead.
Ah, yes.
Because I want it to be like,
that would be much more shocking.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want it to be like, oh, you think they're faking it. And then it ends up being they're dead. And then, you know, like in this scene, if Samantha ends up dead, then they're like back at the place and they think like, was it a drowning? You know, and the cops come and then they're like, I don't know, man, you know. That would add so much drama and it would be like, did Jason do that or did she just drown?
Right.
And that would be a great question to have for the whole rest of like the, you know, forever. Like to just be like, did Samantha drown?
Like, yeah.
Like, because people drown. I mean, it's obviously something that happens all the time. So is it possible she went under there to trick her friend? Or did Jason, like, was under there and held her under?
Yeah.
Right? And we just wonder forever.
Forever.
Does Jason kill that person or did it?
It would have been great.
Yeah. Another thing that I noticed here is that when Tommy and Trish get, the car breaks down, and the feet walk up, and then it's revealed to be Rob. Those ain't Rob's feet. Those are Jason's feet. So the question is, because I looked at what Jason's wearing and I looked at what Rob's wearing. Yeah. It's very clearly Jason that's there, standing there. So did Rob save their life? Because in this franchise, Jason picks people off when they're alone. He does not attack groups of people almost ever. It's a very rare thing in this franchise. He always goes after people when they're by themselves because he's a pussy. No, I don't know. I don't know why he does that. But I guess it's to lengthen the film. Because if he killed everyone all at once, it would be like, okay, like, movie's over.
It's over. He did it.
So, but is it possible that if Rob did not walk up in that moment, Jason would have killed Tommy and Trish? I do believe so.
I think so too. I think that's a good point.
Or was he stalking? Was he stalking
Rob?
Oh, and Rob got saved by finding Trish.
That maybe makes more sense because he was really alone.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder. I don't know what. I actually don't have an answer on that. I think either one works.
Yeah. I do too, but I like the idea that Rob.
But the fact that Rob's out looking for him and that Jason is so actively like after Rob in this and goes to his tent and breaks his weapons and stuff. Yeah. Right? Because he's like, no
That's even
guns.
More reason why he's like, because he's been following him. Exactly. He knows he's following him.
Right. So like he knows where his campground is.
Tracking him and then
Well, he wouldn't have that campground yet. That doesn't work. But regardless, he's just tracking it. Yeah. Yeah, I do think he is following one of them. And it makes more sense that it's Rob because Rob's on foot and they're in a car. It's possible he just came across them because he killed that girl with the banana as he was walking back. She was out on the road. He's walking down the road. And he happens upon them, you know, later. Or he was following Rob, who was out in his woods. And then he found them. Yeah. Right. And he's like, okay,
Hold
you
on.
know, I'll be back.
Right back.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
So yeah, I don't know. So of course, Jimmy's dance in this is iconic.
Yeah.
As we all
wonderful.
know, this is how Crispin Glover actually dances, and this is how he used to dance at clubs in the 80s, which is pretty wonderful.
It's awesome.
And now, have you ever been at a party with a bunch of like teenagers or 20 somethings? I'm going to go with 20 somethings here. They act like teenagers though, because Sarah's asking Sam, like, you really have sex with him?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what girl would be saying that in their 20s?
Right.
I can't fathom a girl saying that who's in their 20s in the 80s. Be like, of course Sam's sleeping with her boyfriend. Because she's like, you know, she basically calls her a slut. She's like, well, you make it with everybody. And she's like, I don't make it with everybody. Well, I make it with Paul. And she's like, really? Like that line has never made any sense to me, because she thinks she's screwing everybody. And then she's like, no, I'm just screwing my boyfriend. And she's like, really? You're actually screwing him? And it's like, you thought I was screwing everyone. Why is it hard for you to believe that I'm screwing my boyfriend?
Because
who I'm all over.
Be like kind of insulting rather than like actually believing it.
Like that she thinks Sam's a virgin?
No. I don't know. You're right. It doesn't really make sense, but
yeah.
It just like that, like when she's like kind of accusing her of sleeping with everyone. I don't know. Like she's trying to be rude. And then finding it, but yeah, it's only one person, and then she's like shocked by it. So,
but she's being corrupted.
Yeah.
Because of course she ends up, wanting to screw Doug.
Yes.
But I don't know. Do you think? I don't think her and Doug have sex in the shower. It looks like they're definitely, there's some heavy petting going on. Right?
You don't think they have sex?
No, because she like goes because she's like, give me a minute. Right, walks back to like do her hair and put on a nice little negligee and whatever. That's like her prepping for her big moment, right? That's not like, give me a minute after like we just had sex. Give me a minute. I'm gonna go get ready and stuff. Like, ready for what? Right. That doesn't make any sense. They did not end up getting to it, especially since he's still horny and wants Paul to come in and have sex with him in the shower. Oh, drop the soap, old buddy, old pal. You better come in here with me.
That's what he really wants.
He's like, well, Sarah wouldn't give it to me.
Yeah,
so
maybe that's true then.
Polly's going to have to come in here.
And do what she couldn't.
Yeah. But unfortunately, unbeknownst to Doug, Polly doesn't have the equipment anymore to service him in that way.
You sure don't.
Because Jason got shot him in it.
Yes.
With a freaking harpoon gun.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the aggressive flirting with that Teddy does, like I love how he's so trying to give Jimmy like dating advice. And
he's awful at it.
Oh my God.
He's so bad. He's so bad at it.
He's like borderline rapist.
Yes, not borderline. He probably is.
He's not a rapist.
But he is.
He's just like a typical 80s dude.
Pushy.
Yes.
And that is gross and not okay.
Well, it's because he's literally just trying to give it to anyone at the party. He does not care. And he's doing it in front of the people that he's trying to sleep with. It's like, I just tried to sleep with your sister 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, he has no tact. Like at all.
None.
And no subtlety.
None.
He is literally just so horny. He's like, whoever will do it, I'm down.
He's pretty much every teenage guy.
Yeah. But he is way more pushy than I think would. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's like an 80s thing.
I mean, Doug doesn't push at all. And he's going to land in the Virgin. So let that be a lesson. Jimmy also he just is himself.
Yep.
And he goes out there and he dances the way he wants to.
Like,
but the question was going to be, have you ever been to a party?
Yeah.
No, you've never been to a party. No.
I have.
Have you, could you fathom, how about that? Could you fathom going to a party where someone puts on like upbeat hit music of the time and then a guy comes in and turns that off to put on like 50s slow dance music at a teenage early 20s something party? This is one of the most unbelievable scenes to me.
Yeah, I
that
didn't.
all the guys and kids, like all the people there
They all are like,
outside
oh
of Jimmy would
yeah,
be like,
it's
yeah,
slow
this is what we should
dance.
be listening to.
Yeah,
Like in
I
1980, I think we're in 1985 at this point, right? Because in the first one takes place in 80, and then we jump 5 years later to part two, and this is only like a week later from that. So this is 1985. You're talking like, the height of music right now is like Michael Jackson and Madonna and like,
and there's like all those like
new
power
wave
like
and
love ballads and stuff. Like there's
sure,
plenty of love songs
there's
from the
no
80s
way
but they're
that
putting on
Paul is
50s
putting
music.
on that shit.
Yeah, probably not.
And these kids are like, yes, this is what we want at our party.
Yeah, I think it's.
Do you imagine if you walked into like a teenage party and they were listening to like 50s slow dance music?
I would be really, I'd be weirded out. I'd be like, these guys are actually from the 50s. Like they're just ghosts that have come back.
It's weird. It's weird. It literally makes no sense. Of course, it's set to be like to get the girls close,
Right.
right? Because
it's
this
like
is
so
basically like
romantic.
this is like middle school dance stuff,
Yes.
where it's like, what are you gonna do during the slow songs?
I know.
You're gonna get close,
Yeah.
right?
It is.
You got to leave enough room for the Holy Ghost, as they always say in those movies. Okay, and dude, like you can absolutely tell that Julie, who plays Sam, is freezing when she goes out in that water.
So cold.
As if you know if you know the story behind this, right? Like she was like going into hypothermia, and
terrible.
Ted White, who plays Jason in this, was like pissed off on set, like, you're killing this girl.
Yeah.
Like, and he was like forcing them to like stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's terrible.
Awful.
Open water swimming at night in a lake like that, dude.
Absolutely
no way.
not.
No way. She's just asking to get killed.
She's asking to, yeah.
As quick as Terry jumps, I think it's Terry. I'm committing to that. It's Terry jumps from Paul to Jimmy.
Oh my gosh, so fast. But like she's just as horny, right? Like that's the point.
It's weird because like of course she's doing the competitive nature thing where she wants to steal Sam's girl or boy, I'm sorry. And then Paul like is like, I can't go through with this. Like that is such a weird scene. Like he's such an idiot.
Oh yeah.
He's like, oh, what do you want? Oh, put on the record, and like just lets his girlfriend run out the door. And like, what, dude? There's no way. There's some guys that are terrible, but I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
So anyway, but here's the weird thing though. You would think that Terry would be a bitch to Jimmy. I thought for sure, like the first time I watched this, or when I understood what was happening at the age that I was understanding that scene. When she's in bed with Jimmy and he's like, was I a dead fuck? And she's like, you know what I think? And I was like, oh, here we go. She's going to be a total bitch because this girl seems like the kind of person, but she's like, I thought you were incredible.
Yeah.
And I honestly am kind of shocked by that because of how she acts in this. She seems like she's going to be the bitch who's like, yeah, you're a dead fuck.
But instead, she's just like, no, it was amazing.
Which would be funny too. Like, see, if I was writing these, I would have her say like, no, you're a dead fuck. And then like Jason would walk in on him killing himself. Right? Which I think like that's fascinating to like see what would happen in that moment where Jason's like walking in and he's kind of like, huh? And he just is like kills himself right in front of Jason. He's like, what? That's my job. Or like he tries to stop him.
Yeah.
And then does it himself. Like, no, this is my kill. No, you can't take it from me.
And then he's like, I don't want you to do it anymore. I changed my mind. I want to live.
I do like that. I do like that when the bed breaks, that we find out that was an accident on set, that they just kept rolling.
Yeah, their reaction is good.
Yeah. And Doug's head crush, outside of Jason's death himself, Doug's head crush is my favorite kill in this film.
Great. It's so great.
It's gnarly.
Yeah.
It's a gnarly way to go for sure. The movie definitely is not as graphic as I always label it to be. There is a lot of deaths that happen like off screen, or they're really not all that interesting. even though maybe stylistically one of them is cool but isn't graphic, which is Tina's death. Just like the lightning shadow of her getting stabbed from behind. I like that stylistically, but of course we don't see shit.
Anything.
Terry getting thrown out the window is not all that graphic. Mrs. Voorhees obviously gets killed off screen. You know, Teddy Bear gets knifed in the back of the head. It's kind of okay. Jimmy's death is great. Corkscrew in the hand and the hatchet to the face is gnarly. Sarah's death is good, you know, an axe through the door into her chest. It's fine. I think the force of it coming through the door and the more of the sound effect of like how hard he hit it. I mean, he has to be a magician though to even know where the hell she is in that moment.
He can tell.
He can just sense where she is. That's a little ridiculous. Paul getting it through the dick. That's more of like a visceral kill, like where you just feel it as a dude. You don't really see it per se. You kind of see it enter a gene, right? And he gets lifted. So it's kind of graphic, kind of not. We don't see any actual like gore happening, but we feel it, right? Samantha's death is cool with the blade coming up through. Axel getting his head slit, you know, his throat slit with the hacksaw and then twisted around is pretty cool. The nurse that he's with getting the scalpel in the stomach and pulled down. That one's okay. And Rob, we don't see anything. We just hear the famous line of "He's killing me."
He's killing me.
But we don't. I mean, we see that Jason stuck like some kind of like a chisel or something into his head after the fact and threw him through the window. But we don't see that happen. No. So his death happens off screen, and then Jason's death is amazing. It is brutal. Yeah. Oh, and then there's Banana Girl, who gets the knife through the back of the throat, which is pretty similar, obviously, to the one in part 1, and even somewhat similar to Sam's death herself. Just it's in her back versus her neck. But Sam's face is pretty ridiculous when she's dying. She's like,
she's dramatic.
To be fair, though, if we filmed people being murdered, I'm sure their faces would not be pleasant. I'm sure that their faces would probably, like, if you actually watch someone get killed like that.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure I'm sure a lot of people have made some pretty ridiculously stupid faces
if you're being
during
murdered.
it. Yeah.
For sure.
You're not thinking about like how you look.
No.
While you're being stabbed to death.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So, to be fair.
Yeah. It's fine.
I don't know. I mean, would I make like a cool face while getting stabbed to death? I'm like, yeah, what, La Tigre?
Yeah.
Blue Steel?
Blue Steel.
From Zoolander? Yeah, I don't think those are the faces that I'd be making.
Hey, cool.
fan of the channel, Cyrus Arnold.
Oh, yeah.
Little baby Derek Zoolander Jr. Yeah. He can show us the face that he would make while he died.
The Blue Steel.
Okay, once again, outright. Gordon, he does not die. He flees the situation. He's the smartest character in this movie. He just bails, which I actually find really funny because Trish, when she grabs Rob to go check next door, she calls Gordon to come with them. She's like, come on, Gordon. And Gordon's supposed to come over there to protect them. Gordon walks in that house, takes a little sniff test, sees some dead bodies, and he's like, I am the out of here. And he bails right out the window and he is gone. Whoever thinks he's like thrown through the window and killed, Jason's down in the basement, A, and jumps. B, he 100% just skedaddles right out of there.
Yeah.
I don't use skedaddle enough, but he skedaddles.
He's a smart boy.
He does. There is nothing you could tell me. You could not convince me that Gordon dies.
No.
But I got into a very long argument on this for a long time now with like Christian from Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast. This is something, they actually have a term where they say he Gordoned himself, which is they killed themselves. And I'm like, Gordon did not kill himself. He 100% jumped out the window and ran for his life.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to be somebody else's.
I'm going to be a feral dog. I'm just going to go live in the woods.
Feral wood dog. No, he wouldn't. He'd leave because he'd be like, Jason could be in these woods.
Yeah,
So
Gordon
he
does
would just
not
go
die.
across state lines.
Yeah, Gordon does not die.
And then he would stop.
There's no way. Also, in addition to that, I've always found it odd. I don't understand this scene at all. So, number one, when Trish and Tommy come back the first time and they can't find their mom, they leave all the lights in the house off. But then the second time they come back, all the lights in the house are on. Why didn't they turn any of the lights on? Jason didn't cut the power or anything. So why they're walking around the house when it's dark? Wait, Tommy goes down into the cellar to turn the breaker on.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something else. Scratch that. Moving on. What doesn't make sense, though, that's not even the thing I was going to make sense. I was just kind of making a joke on that. The thing that actually doesn't make sense, which I can't make any sense of, is that Trish comes back to her house with Rob and for some reason breaks into her own house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What?
I don't know.
Like, they didn't knock like Tommy let me in. They just went and like kind of like hit the door a little bit for a second, and then Rob breaks the freaking front window. Like in the door. That makes zero sense to me. Trish doesn't know how to get into her own house. She doesn't have keys. She didn't bring keys with her.
Or there's not a key like under.
No, she has a key.
Yeah, she does.
They just came home in a locked house, came in. She has the keys. She brought them with the car.
She should have.
Why does Rob break into the house when Trish is with him? This makes zero sense to me.
He wanted to show off. He was like, "Look what I can do. I can break and entering."
Yeah, I got nothing on that one. Okay. I love that Trish won't jump over a dead body, but she has no problem breaking a window and crawling through it. This is absurd to me. The one that's hanging up like Jesus, who's like crucified, Jimmy's body, who's like crucified through the door. Like I could definitely see her not wanting to, but just like I think it's one of the twins, right? I think it's probably Terry, right?
Yeah.
That's supposed to be like her dead body, even though I'm not sure she's dead. I think it's one of the twins. But she like refuses to jump, like even walk around the body.
I know.
That is one of the dumbest scenes in the movie to me.
Yeah.
She's like so brave later, jumps through a freaking window, and is somehow like a dead body. I can't go around that body.
Shock.
I get that, but she literally just watched Rob like hacked to death, walked down and saw the body. She saw a body hanging up on the wall. She saw Doug's body hanging, like stabbed through the back. There's no way, dude. She's not just running past that body. The fact that she has to use a different exit because there's a body on the porch laying down, that is such poor writing. It's like, she sees a body and is like,
it's not a good obstacle to escape. Yeah.
It is absolutely absurd. Goes into her house, starts nailing her doors shut, even though they have like so many windows. And I'm like, there's nailing the door shut is completely pointless. And Jason like laughs at that by throwing Rob's body through the window like 2 seconds later.
Though.
He's like, this is what my mom did. I learned this one from my mom.
My mom taught me this.
Yep. Yep, she does the exact same thing, except for in this one, it's not 5 minutes of Alice doing this, right? It's shorter. It's like 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Shorter, so I'm glad that they streamlined this.
Yes.
And then he throws the body through the window, except for he doesn't drive up and say he's a friend of the Christies. He just comes in and throws that ridiculous hammer that like sticks into the wall sideways. It's a bad effect. It like sticks. It sticks like on the top end. It doesn't like stick like on the hammer or the claw.
Right.
It sticks in here.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It just presses against the wall and it like opens up and I'm like, what? Jason's like magnetic now.
Why not?
Makes no sense. I love it.
He's powerful.
And his hand wound is super gnarly. Great effect there. Him falling on the blade. The kill, of course, is amazing.
Yes.
Tommy hacking his ass up. Great.
Yeah, I love it.
The ending, obviously they're trying to suggest that Tommy's going to be the new killer, which this is part 4. They do the same thing in Halloween 4. So for some reason in part 4s, kids are going to become the new killer. Yeah. And in part 5, at least with part 5, they actually kind of stuck with it. And throughout 5, they make it seem like Tommy's probably the killer. And honestly, if I could go back and change 5, Tommy would be the killer. It's very
Mm-hmm.
obvious, and it's supposed to be this reveal of like Tommy's innocent, but
Yeah.
it makes all the sense in the world that he's dreaming up Jason,
Oh, yeah.
and he
And
becomes
he's
Jason. And
becoming,
even at
yes.
the end of 5, he still
He still does
comes
it.
up behind Pam with
Yeah.
the mask on and a blade,
Yes.
and you're like, and she has a dream
Yeah.
sequence even where she comes in and he kills, whatever. But then it replays, and he's still Jason. So he stabs her, like he's in bed and he turns around and he stabs her, and then she wakes up and then she goes in and he's actually the killer. So she dreams it, but then it like kind of happens, right? So it's like once again another dream sequence ending. So it's cursed. And let's see how Jason's able to get out of the freezer that Axel puts him in without making even the slightest bit of sound is a superpower.
Yeah, he's a ninja.
He is a ninja. He's definitely a ninja. And how is Teddy making the clicking sound on a keyboard when he's typing it to the old computer when it's literally just like a flattened Coke box? He's like,
I know.
But he's not making any sounds with his mouth.
He just can.
That was added, like by a Foley artist who actually used like a keyboard sound.
It's for a gag.
But it's funny to me that it actually makes like a keyboard sound because it shouldn't.
It shouldn't make any sound because it's imaginary.
No, I find that funny. I find that really funny that that it makes the actual noise. And here it is. Kids killed in 58. Jason drowns in 57. 23 years. 26. Jason is 11. 15. Pregnant at 14. See, I remembered the math.
Yeah.
Paul does a rope swing while naked and just skims across the whole thing. I'm like, dude, this guy just gave himself the worst enema. I bet that actor was like, oh my God, I'm going to be shitting lake water for the next freaking week. Dude, do not rope swing into the water naked.
Don't do that. It's probably not a good idea.
They also have no problem. None of them have literally any issue with being completely nude around Tommy when he shows up.
I know.
None of them are like, there's a kid here.
Like
maybe
woo!
The girls like flip upside down, show them their pussies and shit. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, they have no cares at all.
None.
I don't think they even like. I mean, they know that he's there, but like, they just don't care. That's really it.
I like how Trish says she's overdressed. And what she's wearing is a like man's button-up shirt that's undone, and underneath she's wearing a bathing suit.
Right.
I looked at it this time and was like, because it would make sense that they came there to swim.
Yeah.
Right? So they came down there to swim. They rushed down. And then she's like, we got to get him out of here. So I just got to say this. But I find it funny. She's like, I'm overdressed. And it's like, but she is, I guess, technically, even in a bathing suit.
Yeah, technically
she's not skinny dipping.
Right. Which is kind of what she's meaning.
Would she have skinny dipped?
Because I'm overdressed.
Would she have skinny dipped? Because Tommy points out that, like, slow down. When they're driving back, he's like, slow down. The party will be going on all night. She wants to go to the party.
Yeah.
Right? But she's obviously interested in Rob.
Yeah.
But she was going to go to that party. You think Trish would have skinny dipped?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
She doesn't know them.
I don't get the.
She's not like friends.
Well,
I mean, neither are Trish and Tina, but they're like crazy. Or not Trish, sorry, Terry and Tina.
Yeah. It
like,
is interesting to me
wild.
though, because Tina is like, I don't want to say a prude. She's not a prude, but she's the more.
She's just a little bit more conservative, I guess.
Yeah, but she has no problem getting nude.
Yeah.
Like and jumping in with.
They're just trying to have like.
Which is fine. I would think she'd be the one that was like, no way. Yeah. Jimmy's like, no way, but he ends up doing it. So everyone's like, kind of like peer pressured into it. And Sam has no problem. She's like, what did everyone say? She's like, I didn't even hear that.
Like, I was already naked this whole time.
Just happened to be in the process of doing that. I think I mentioned almost everything. Yeah. Tommy also changes his outfit after he hacks Jason up. When he's in the hospital, he's wearing a completely different shirt. I mean, it's possible that he was covered in blood, so they were like, here, change. Like, we need this for evidence.
Probably what happened.
But he's still like dirty and his hair's still screwed up and all that stuff. So like, they didn't let him shower or anything, which is possible.
They need to
and
check him still.
him and Trish, they're just changing outfits all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it. So Friday the 13th, part 4, the final chapter.
We finally
I guess
did
that's it. That's all of them, right?
Yeah.
I've made that
That's the
joke
final
so
chapter.
many times.
That's the end.
That is such an old joke.
We definitely don't have a bunch more to go.
No, we still don't have 8 more movies.
Yep.
Double what we've already done. Okay, we are gonna stay on track. We are doing
Yes.
5 next week.
Yeah.
Don't you worry. I don't even think I can get this up on the channel before Sunday's over, but whatever.
We're gonna try.
We're gonna try. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Friday 4, such a fun time. This is such a better video than the one I made previously on this. Lots of new theories. We didn't come up with any new names.
No new words.
No new nothing.
No.
But yeah, it's good. It's great stuff. I love it, and yeah, you should too.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.